Hello YouTube friends, Dr. Teresa here again. Well, you notice I'm showing you a different looking aquarium here. I was running into problems keeping stable water in the tiny tank of the 2.5 gallons. You'll notice that in the background here I do have the little filter that was inside of the tiny tank, and then the little sponge filter that was also in there. In addition to those, I have a mini hang on the back power filter here. I suspect that the filtration system that I had on the tiny tank, because of the high feeding schedule, the load that that tank was taking, the biological filtration just wasn't sufficient. And to add more to that tiny tank was just going to take up too much space. So the intake of the power filter does have a tubular sponge, and that's going to prevent the seahorses, oh, you can see them swimming by, that will prevent the seahorses and any babies from getting sucked up into the filter, and it also slows down the flow rate enough where all of the brine shrimp that are added to the tank aren't quickly pulled out. You can even see some, if you look carefully, brine shrimp swimming around in the tank there. And this sponge filter, when the colonizing nitrifying bacteria is fully established, will help to stabilize water. I just recently swapped everything out very quickly into this 10-gallon aquarium. I moved the seahorse tree from the small tank in here, the little yellow stone fixture of artificial plants, and then I also added some artificial grass. Notice that the tank bottom is bare, and that makes it very easy to see the detritus that needs to be cleaned up. So that's something that I'll do on a consistent basis. Haven't figured out a schedule yet because this tank has been set up for such a short time. But even the fact that it is set up for such a short time and using only established colonization from the two little filters that were originally in the tiny tank, the water is much more stable. I was actually starting to get some nitrite readings in the tiny tank, and even with water changes I couldn't get them to come down, and of course the nitrates were definitely elevated. I also have extra filtration inside of the power filter, so you can't see all the way down to the bottom, but on the very bottom layer I have another sponge which acts partly as mechanical filtration, and also you can see it's very porous, and it's going to give a lot of opportunities for more colonizing nitrifying bacteria to grow in here and keep the tank healthy and established. In addition, on top of the sponge, I have a layer of the biocubes or bioballs, which are very porous. These are mini ones, and I have them inside of a sachet so that they're going to be really easy to pull out and rinse occasionally. And I'll demonstrate that when it's time to do a change. And then to add some chemical filtration, I made my own little sachet using old pantyhose, nylon from old pantyhose, put some carbon, and just topped off the top layer of the power filter so that it helps keep the water clear, and pollutants and odors are kept down too with that chemical filtration. I have this filter set so the intake level is really low. It looks kind of fast in the video here, but this is actually the lowest power, or one of the lowest power settings here. And like I said, it's working out very well because it is not disturbing the water so much that the seahorses can't swim. They are able to lounge at their leisure, they're able to swim at their leisure, they're able to capture their food, and it's not pulling all of the food out. I'm going to be taking this sponge filter out because I actually planned to use it for a copepod tank, but it looks like the water's calming down nicely, and because I've already used the tank water from the 2-gallon tank and some other seasoned water that I had, along with some new water that was mixed together with sea salt, and then that little tiny filter that is designed for the tiny tank, the water is staying very stable, and I expect that the readings are going to be just perfect very soon, especially as that colonizing bacteria gets a chance to grow on those different sponges and surface areas that are being provided by that small power filter. I'm not even sure they make that power filter anymore. When I purchased it, it was called an AquaClear Mini. I think the equivalent version now is like an AquaClear 10 or an AquaClear 20 or something to that effect. I don't think they have one that's called a Mini anymore, but I'm sure that's pretty comparable. I like it. It gives me flexibility with the flow rate, which I like. It also allows me to put in my own media in the sizes that I want or the proportions that I want. So anyway, here's how the seahorses are doing, and then I do have one little bit of sad news. I lost a female. I don't know if you can see the seahorses very clearly. Not because of the water parameters. I noticed that she wasn't eating like the other seahorses were, and when I looked carefully, she had some sort of mark on her neck. And it looked like she had sustained some sort of injury probably before she even arrived to me. It could have been in nature, and her immune system was compromised, being brought into captivity, or maybe in the collecting process. She did not survive. The odd part of it is I cannot find her body, but I definitely have 7 seahorses in here. They're eating very well, so I expect to be sharing more of their antics with you soon. As I said, this has been one interesting experiment. I'm enjoying it, but I feel really good that we've got a stable environment for the seahorses. Take care. Thanks for joining me.